So the phrase "what's up" is heard everywhere, and natives use it all the time. But I've found that most English learners respond to this question wrong when someone asks it to them. So in today's lesson, we're going to help you to nail the right response next time someone asks you this question so you can speak confidently and sound more natural.
Ethan, I have a couple of questions about this topic to ask you. The first question is this phrase or this question, what's up? How informal would you say that is?
I believe it always depends because you can be in all sorts of different situations, work situations, and I think over time, as a culture, we're becoming more and more informal in our speaking. Even that said, if you are in a formal situation, I would probably avoid this. So if you're at work until you get a feel for the people you work with and how they speak, I would probably go with a more standard, how are you? Or if you're talking to your partner's grandmother, this might also not be the word that you should choose until you've seen it, if she speaks more in that informal sort of way. But if you're speaking with friends, if you're speaking with even colleagues, peers of your own age, you're going to hear this all the time. So it's very appropriate, and it can even help you to fit in a little bit more culturally speaking.
Yeah, this talk about being culturally aware of the place you're in and the people you're talking to. That reminds me of something that happened to me a long time ago. I was 21. I was working at this language school. It was actually the very first job I got as an English teacher. And I had been working at that school for a couple of years already, so I was pretty comfortable with the place and the people. And then there was this American teacher who was new at the school. He had just started working there. And one day, he was at the reception and I walked in, I arrived, and then I started kissing everybody. I started kissing the receptionist, some female
on
teachers
the cheek,
that were
right?
there. On the cheek, yeah. On the cheek, guys, okay? On the cheek. Because here in Brazil, it's common for us to greet people of the opposite sex, usually with a kiss on the cheek. It's kind of cultural. And this American teacher later, he came up to me and he said, "Man, that's so weird." And then I said, "What?" And then he said, "You started kissing everybody in the workplace. We never do that in the US." And then he went on to explain to me that in the US, it's a handshake, and you usually kiss people who are close to you, like friends and family. So yeah, it is important to be aware of that.
We might say that's a faux pas in the US, kissing someone on the cheek.
Oh, it sounds French to me.
It's from French. It means literally something that you don't do. That's what it is. It's something that's taboo. It's something that is frowned upon in certain circles.
So I like what you said about feeling the place out. What does it mean, by the way, to feel the place out before engaging in more informal habits?
Yeah, with cultures, it's such an important skill to build because things are always done differently. Filling out, for example, when I go to this new place, in this new country, do I see people kissing each other on the cheek? Do I see them shaking hands? Do I see them bowing to each other? What's the way that people do things here? So feeling it out is just observing, seeing what the vibe is in a place.
All right, Ethan. So I have here a short list of possible responses that we can use in English to this question, what's up? First of all, how would you explain the pronunciation of what's up, the native pronunciation? What are some ways to pronounce?
That's a tricky question because we have many different ways that we can say this if we're just casually speaking to our friends. So you could say, what up? So that's removing the S at the end of what's and having the connected speech there with the American T. What up? What up, Thiago?
What up, Ethan? Is that okay?
That's perfect. We might take off the first syllable and just connect the S to the up, almost the opposite of what we did in the first variant. So it's just sup, Thiago.
Man, this sounds so laxed, right? Like so laid back. You don't even bother to pronounce the whole thing. It's like, sup.
Yeah.
Any other way we have to pronounce this question?
Yeah, you could hear, maybe this is more common in the 2000s, but was up or was up.
Yo. What's up? What's up?
Cool. So, well, let's jump into some possible responses here. Somebody asks you, hey, what's up? The first one is, not much, just chilling. How about you?
I think the most important thing for us to note starting off here is that what's up is not the same as how are you, which is the mistake I would usually see learners making is they would respond the same. What's up? Fine. And you? Which is an incorrect response to what's up. What's up, we could translate more to being like, what's happening or what are you doing, literally. So not much, I think, is the most common response. It's when you're just getting on with the conversation, especially if it's someone who you're not particularly close with. It can just be the quickest response. Not much. What's up? Not much.
And what does it mean, just chilling?
Oh yeah, just chilling is I'm just hanging out. I'm just relaxing.
I'm sure you've been learning many new words in this lesson, right? But let me ask you a question. Do you think you'll be able to remember all these new words a week from now? Maybe 2 weeks from now? Well, if you don't review these words again and again, you will likely forget them. This is really frustrating, isn't it? When you learn a new word or expression here with us, but then when you go out there in the real world and start talking to people, those words just don't come to you. You forget them. Well, there is a very powerful technique that you can implement called spaced repetition in order to prevent that from happening again. Spaced repetition is a learning technique that involves reviewing and revisiting information at increasing intervals over time. The basic idea is to expose yourself to the information you're trying to learn in a way that optimally reinforces your memory. This is an advanced technology that works with your brain's natural tendency for memorization, using intelligent flashcards. As someone who works in English, I can't stress enough how important it is to have an ample vocabulary. And we have made it easy for you to incorporate spaced repetition in your learning with the RealLife English app. With the app, you can learn tons of words, phrasal verbs, and expressions with our advanced technology that helps you review the words you're trying to remember by presenting the new vocabulary to you at strategic times, so you can never forget the new words and expressions you're learning from this podcast ever again. Wouldn't you also like to effortlessly use the right words and expressions when you need them? So if you want to go from feeling like a lost, insecure English learner to becoming a confident, natural English speaker who actually remembers the new words you learn, download the app today. Look at this one. What's up? Just hanging.
Just hanging, man. Got no plans. It comes from hanging out, which if you're hanging out, it's like you're passing an amount of time without doing anything in particular. So you can use hanging out for that you're laying on the sofa, not doing anything. You can use it for that you're at home doing some chores. You can use it for you're spending time with another person, even. Like I'm hanging out with Thiago.
What you said earlier about this question meaning what's happening, what are you doing? We have some, you can be more specific also about things you're doing. For example, hey, just working on a few things. What about you?
Right.
Look at this one. Oh, you know, the usual. What about you? Anything exciting?
I think that would be a perfect response. If you're saying the usual, that person probably knows you well because that you're not doing anything apart from what you would normally do. So it's like if I know you really well, I ask you what's up and you say the usual. I imagine you're probably home playing guitar, maybe playing some video games, maybe watching a 𝗙𝗲𝗹𝗟𝗏 movie.
For the 100th time, right? And you can also be specific, I imagine, right? By specifying the actual task you are doing. Like, oh, I'm cleaning the house, I'm driving the kids to school now, I'm driving home.
That's very common as well. It's just responding literally whatever the thing is that you're doing. So if I ask you, what's up? You'd be like, oh, just recording a podcast.
You can also use it to give a piece of news, right? For example, you'll never believe what happened to Susan the other day. That
again would probably be in a more close relationship, right? If I ask you what's up and you literally tell me that you have some piece of news, a piece of juicy gossip, maybe.
I love that collocation. A piece of juicy gossip.
Maybe it comes from like a juicy steak that typically will say this for something that is full of flavor. We're using it figuratively to say this piece of gossip, like you're going to really want to chew on it. It's going to really fulfill you.
Another response could be, oh, I'm a bit down because I got let go today.
If you got let go, you got fired, right? So again, that would be a very intimate response.
Or my son hasn't been sleeping, so I'm pretty exhausted.
This is interesting because, like I said, it doesn't mean the same as how are you. So if I asked you, how are you, Thiago, you say, you know, I'm exhausted. My son didn't sleep at all last night, so he kept me up. That would be a perfectly reasonable response. So I was saying that we don't use what's up the same way as how are you. But in this case, it's more like you're giving me a piece of information and then using it to explain that I might see that you're very tired, right?
All right. So we have already talked about using it, responding like not much, nothing's happening, to talk about what you're doing literally, also to give a piece of news, either good or bad, and also for plans, right? For example, what's up? Oh, I'm going to the movies later with Tom. Do you want to join us?
I think that's a great use of it, is that when you have, again, a friendly relationship with someone, it can be an invitation to talk about your plans, to invite the other person to join you. So will oftentimes use it, especially if, for example, you called me and you said, what's up? Because maybe you're calling me to see if I want to do something. So I let you in on what I'm planning to do later that day, so you can see if you want to join.
That is a nice phrasal verb, isn't it? You let me in on what you're planning to do that day. What does it mean to let someone in this case?
Yeah, it'd be to let someone in on something. So if you're in on something, that means that you are aware, you're informed.
You're giving me the update, right? About your day.
Exactly.
There's one more here with a very nice expression. What's up? Actually, I'm about to grab a bite. Wanna come?
So it's a nice invitation, but what does that mean that you're going to grab a bite?
I'm gonna have something to eat, maybe at a restaurant or at a bar. And finally, Ethan, I have here when you are responding to something earlier or to ask why you're calling the person maybe, or getting in touch with the person. For example, hey, what's up? And then I can respond, oh, I was just calling to ask if you want to do something.
Yeah, we would use it in that case. Say you called me and I'm not sure why you called me. If you said to me, hey, Ethan, how's it going? I'd be like, good, what's up? So in that case, I'm not asking you, how are you? Or I'm not asking you what you're doing, but it's more asking, why are you calling? What's the meaning of this call?
What's the meaning of this?
That sounds very serious, but it's in a light way still, but it's just to be like, what are you calling about?
Awesome. One thing I'm noticing here, Ethan, as we are going over this list here, is that it's really important for us to use our imagination to come up with possible scenarios and contexts for those phrases. So a tip for the learners here, the listeners, is that don't just focus on individual expressions or phrases, but imagine different scenarios that could happen to justify using those.
That's a really good point. And the tone can say a lot too, right? If I say, what's up? Or if I say, what's up? It's very, very different sort of thing. Like one, you're bothering me maybe, and what is this about? Let's get this done with quickly. The other one's just a friendly greeting. Yeah,
awesome. So there you go, guys. We have some pretty nice responses you can use to sound natural and confident when responding to what up. Yeah, global citizen. Thank you for learning with us. You should know, though, that this is just a clip from the full version of this episode. If you want to listen to the full version, make sure you do it on the Real Life English app. Download the app and listen to the full lesson over there.